So yeah, Sean Penn's performance again. I wouldn't say it's a glorified impersonation because he really did capture who Harvey Milk was, but I think out of the nominations, he just wasn't the best. That's just the bottom line. Um, Again, it's just another great Sean Penn performance that really just wasn't memorable to me. Um, so I just he will win, sadly, but I'm still rooting for Mickey. Um, okay, so without any further ado, the biggie, Best Picture. All right, first up, Slumdog Millionaire. Oh, great. Just I just say like you want to pry your eyes open that this movie is just so interesting. It's interesting and you want to stay glued to your seat, but then you're on the edge of it. It's the story of Slumdog Millionaire about a young kid growing up in the slums of India for years under the tutelage of his tough brother and just wanting love. Yeah, it sounds cheesy, but it's true. And that's all he wants. And he's explaining his story to the police while he's just one question away from becoming a millionaire on the India version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Just one question away, but they think he's cheating because he's a slumdog. And he's going back, telling the story of his life, and that's how he knows the answers. Unbelievable. Just a great story with great characters. I can see why I didn't get any acting nominations necessarily because his lead characters, there weren't really lead actors here. The actors weren't on screen for long enough to warrant a nomination. So, but they were all great. Don't get me wrong; they were all fantastic. So yes, including the kids. I like the kids in this movie, um, and I liked who they were in the present time as well. They were just the casting progressed, like the characters progressed, and they were the right actors for them. Just a tremendous film. Didn't make my 10 best list. Kind of missed it, but still an awesome movie nonetheless. Um, Next up, Frost Nixon, a dramatic suspense movie. Suspense that there's no mystery, that there's no, you know, overacting. It's dramatic suspense that is built up because we want to see the conflict of these two characters progress. We think Frost is winning. We think Nixon is winning this whole thing. It's just unbelievable. Great, wonderful film that really, I think a lot of dramatic suspense movies, like the lame ones, could take notes. Yeah, it's got good, great performances from Langella and Michael Sheen. Um, so yeah, and it made my 10 best list. Just one of the most interesting movies of the year. Milk, again, great portrayal of Harvey Milk, the first openly gay politician. Um, Again, it was really an eye-opening story. Really, like most biopics, I really can't really describe it much. It's like any other good biopic, really. It did a good job appearing into the life of the man they're telling a story about, but I think it's the supporting characters that stole this one. Bottom line, that's what made this movie for me. Also, of course, the reader. They're really sometimes disturbing, but just you can't look away story of an affair between a Nazi criminal and a young underage boy. Uh, just just unbelievable. It's really a sore subject matter, but that's been debated time and time again from my friends. But wow, I couldn't look away. And finally, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, the overrated story of a boy who ages backwards. Um, Again, this movie just seemed like Forrest Gump to me. I just the movie to quote Peter Griffin, it insists upon itself. I think what I mean by that is that it insists that it's a great movie is was what I mean, but it's not. And I think that some people, I'm not insulting your intelligence out there, some people were fooled. But if you genuinely like it, well, that's fine. So, who do I vote? The Oscar goes to Frost Nixon. Yes, Frost Nixon, unbelievable. The best movie on this list. Just an unbelievable dramatic suspense. I wish I had more words to really detail. I guess I'll give it a try. it takes something that seems so simple, a ground like a television interview. Now, on paper, you're thinking it's a movie about a famous interview, big whoop, a famous interview that took place on TV. Which, yeah, it was a very famous interview. I think it even drew more viewers than the Super Bowl at one point. I'm not sure. I gotta look that up. I heard that, but there's really like Wikipedia says, citation needed. But yeah, either way, it was huge. And but you're thinking a movie about that, maybe a documentary about that might be interesting. But a movie, you're thinking, yeah, pretty much. But this building up its characters and just you think the movie's taking you one way, but then they take you the other, and you can't predict it. Especially if you've never seen the interviews, the original Frost Nixon interviews. They're very interesting. You should check them out. And actually, I have seen them, but it was a while ago. And even so, I was taken back and forth because it's not just about the interviews; it's about the two men. They're they're trying to one up each other because they're trying to get to the bottom of what's real. And there's no, we think there's good guys and bad guys here, and in the general consensus, maybe there is, but this movie doesn't portray it that way, and I like that. I like that. So yes, Frost Nixon is what I would pick for Best Picture. Now, what will win? Slumdog Millionaire. And again, I won't be upset because in my opinion, it's the second best movie out of all the ones being nominated here, maybe tied with The Reader. But again, it's just a story that is interesting and keeps you on the edge of your seat all the way through it. You want to know what's going to happen next. You want these characters to succeed. You want them to have what they want. It's very hard these days. In movies, I don't see that. And very seldom. In movies like this, even, that are built up as for your consideration type movies. Slumdog Millionaire has that. Okay, so now, those are all my picks. Last year I was only off by one. That was Best Actress. I picked Ellen Page, but what's her face? That name I can never pronounce. Won. I saw the movie that she went for. I really didn't see why I was so great about it. So, but yeah, I predicted every other performance. Let's see how I do this year. I'm gonna have more Oscar rants coming up. I'm gonna do the top 5 best and worst winners of all time in all those categories I've just done. Best Picture, the acting awards, all of them. So top 5 best and worst. Also, I'm going to come back with the biggest Oscar snubs. And by snubs, I mean not even nominated. So it's not the biggest Oscar losses, it's who wasn't even nominated. I'm going to go through. Also, yes, my final category here tonight, worst nomination. I mean, out of all these categories. So now, the Oscar shouldn't at all. The nomination shouldn't even go to Brad Pitt for The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Just an overrated performance where he is good but not great. He really just is going through the motions, really, with what the character should be. He's not really adding any elements to it, not really giving it any dimension or giving it any heart, in my opinion. To me, it's just Brad Pitt reading the script, doing what he's told, not doing anything more than that. For an Oscar-worthy performance, you need more. That's what an Oscars are all about, giving something memorable more than what is asked of you, in my opinion. Pitt didn't do that with this movie. If you're going to nominate Brad Pitt, do what he did do that for, and that was Burn After Reading. I think Burn After Reading was overlooked in all categories because of No Country for Old Men being such a big critical success. And the same thing happened with The Big Lebowski and Fargo. I'll rant on that another time. But yes, Brad Pitt, worst nomination. It should have been nominated for Burn After Reading. I think Michael Sheen should have been nominated for Frost Nixon. Very overlooked performance. Got a standing ovation at some of the award shows he's done, and they just didn't take notice. I would have nominated Michael Sheen instead. Until next time, this is it. So to quote the late, great Gene Siskel, I will be at the movies.